All right, Coach, we'll open it up to you for an opening statement, and then we'll take questions as people jump on.
We're excited about getting the season started, no doubt about that. We've hit that point like most schools during this time of year where it's important that we play against somebody else other than ourselves. Are we ready? Probably not. We have a core of experienced guys returning, but we have the way our system is put together and the way we play. We need the full sum of all our parts working well in order for us to be successful. And we're not at that point yet. We have we have about 5 or 6 new first-year players that we're depending on them to be successful, to be efficient for us, in order for us to be successful. And so we're not there yet, and that's probably the biggest challenge we have right now, is the fact that we even though we do have some experience, the energy we have to play with, the philosophy of sharing the ball and sharing the playing time with a tremendous amount of effort we need a little bit more time for it all to come together. We could be really, really efficient and I don't want to put a number on this because we don't have a starting lineup. We have a team that plays off each other, but my experienced guys, if I got 5 or 6 of them, but in order for us to be to be who we want to be, we need 6 through 11 and 12 to be efficient and sound enough that when we call on them, they can go in and give us some consistency. And that's where we're not. That's where our growth has to come from. But all in all, I'm sure there are a lot of coaches that would say the same thing this time of year. But it's time for us now to go out and start doing it for real come Wednesday. And this is a very experienced team that we're playing in Pennsylvania. I think the last time they played is when we the same time we played Boston College and won the conference. But they've had this team together for a lot of practices, a lot of growth, a lot of development. They're probably one of the older, more mature teams in the country. And I remember when they were very matured and experienced a few years ago, they beat a good Alabama team and a Villanova team, and I think it might have been a Central Florida team that they beat. And I kind of anticipate that they'll be pretty much at that level with a lot of experienced guys who they have not lost because of the pandemic, and those guys getting an extra year. So we expect them to be a very well-oiled machine, like most of Coach D's teams have been. So he knows us. He was at Boston College. He's very familiar with us, probably a lot more familiar with us than we are him. So it will be a very good game for us to prepare us for the remainder of our games. So we know they're going to be smart. We know they're going to execute very well. More than likely, they're going to have a great shooting team, and they'll make pretty good decisions. They should be a lot more efficient than we are at this point. So this is kind of the challenge we need to get the season started.
First question from Kurt Weiler.
Obviously, y'all were for the most part able to kind of maintain the home court advantage y'all have had lately, even last year when the crowds weren't kind of at full capacity, when they were restricted. But I guess the excitement from you, the excitement from the team to kind of have those restrictions removed, and I don't know if it'll be a full house Wednesday night, but the ability to kind of have that larger crowd to kind of for the home games where y'all have done so well of late.
Well, there's no doubt that our fans base has contributed a lot to the success of our basketball team, and that's why I look for every opportunity I can to say thank you and tell our fans, especially our students as well as our local supporters, how much we appreciate the support that they've given us. And obviously, the atmosphere in the Tucker Center has been tremendous. I mean, we lost 4 games there in 5 years, and we as young folks can say, I'm not getting this twisted. I do know that we played fairly well, but a lot of the success that we have enjoyed the last few years has been a direct reflection of the fan support that we've gotten in the atmosphere that our fans have helped create in the Tucker Center. And we want them to know how much we appreciate them, but we want them to even take it to another level. We continue asking them to give our opponents a little bit of the medicine that we get when we go on the road, as a payback, because when we go on the road, especially in the ACC, you have some of the most knowledgeable, rabid fans in America, and we're starting now to create that atmosphere here at the Tucker Center, and we want them to be there on Wednesday night, helping us create that atmosphere once again. And this team probably needs the good fan support probably a little more than some of the more experienced teams we've had in the past.
Go to Lane Hurt. Can't hear you, Lane. We'll come back to Lane. We'll go to Chris Nee.
Hey, Leonard, can you hear me?
Well, you know, we always can hear you.
I almost wore a mask in my house just for you today, just to make it up for Sunday or Saturday. Wanted to ask you about Anthony Polite, just how he's developed and become so much more confident in himself during his career here, and how he's kind of learned to play to his strengths the greatest.
Well, you know, Anthony has been out for almost 2 weeks. I think he might have came back and practiced a couple of days before the last exhibition game. You know, he had a slight, you know, injury that just needed time to rest and heal up. So I don't feel like he was at 100% last weekend, but he is a leader in so many different ways. He understands our system as well as anybody. He knows what we're looking for. And being that we have such a large amount of first-year players that we need to have integrated into our system, he's been invaluable with his knowledge and his consistent voice in their ears on a consistent basis. Now, as far as is his contribution on the basketball court, I mean, he just gives you whatever you need. I mean, he's a confident knockdown three-point shooter. He's probably our best on the ball defender. He's consistently executing in our system. He very seldom ever makes a mistake. And when he's in those huddles, when our guys group, and when he's in the locker room and back in the apartment, you know, he's speaking with wisdom and experience. So I'm excited for him and for us, and I feel very fortunate that we have a guy with his character, his abilities, and his experience as being a part of our leadership crew.
Go to Jim Crosby.
Hey, Coach, I know that if anybody's going to fit into your system, they're going to have to play strong defense and that junkyard defense. How have you been pleased with the development of the new players playing defense in the practices?
That's probably the development of our new players from a defensive standpoint, for the most part, has been one of the more pleasant surprises that we've had. I mean, with Caleb Mills and Jalen Worley and Cam Fletcher, Matthew Cleveland, John Butler, and those guys have exceeded my expectations from a energy standpoint, from a willingness to fly around and be active and aggressive. I've been very pleasantly surprised. You know, the challenge that we've had is that, you know, because we do play a little different type of defense where we switch a lot with our big guys, and most people are concerned that when you normally switch a 7-footer off on a point guard, you know, the point guard normally eyes light up and say, you know, gosh, I'm quicker than this big guy and I can drive by him. That's been a little bit probably more of a challenge for us this particular year, especially with Malik being out with the flu and Tanoy being out with a concussion. We have our more inexperienced guys out there trying to defend that position, and we're not able to keep as much pressure on the ball because of their inexperience and the fact that they are not accustomed, to being put in those positions. Normally, it takes a little more experience, a little more work, a few more games for those guys to feel comfortable out there. But that's who we are. That's what we do. And I doubt very seriously you're going to see us changing very much. So that could be a little bit of a challenge. So, but those new guys, back to your question, I think defensively, for the most part, with the exception of Naheem and Quincy, who seem to have been a little more challenged by that type of style. I am really excited about what I've seen from those guys. Gosh, and with each one of them, I mean, they have a willingness, an eagerness, high energy guys, long athletic guys who seem to enjoy playing this style of defense.
Go to Lane Hurt.
Can you hear me this time?
Yep.
All right. Coach, going 12 and 13 deep, like you can do again, how important will this early part of the season be for figuring out rotations and who can play with who and what points of the game?
I can't hear you, Lane. I can't hear you. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I was hoping.
I like that look in your eye. You said
The momentary panic.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm treating you like I do my players. I always keep them on the edge a little bit. Now, Tim, what was your question? Okay. Go ahead, repeat that again, Blaine.
Yeah, going 12 and 13 deep, like you can, how important will be figuring out your rotations early on in the season?
Well, I'm not real sure it's going to be any more challenging than it has been because the game dictates our rotation. What we need. Every game takes on a different personality. And so, what we might need in one game might be different than what we need in another game. So I'm confident that what decisions that we make, we don't go will be in direct proportion to what we feel like we need in order to be successful. We consistently are making adjustments. So I don't think it's going to be any different as long as the players that we are utilizing give us a comfort level that they can be consistent doing what we need in that particular game. Some guys can be a little more effective than others. And I think a 7-1 guy like John Butler, he's still making an adjustment to playing strictly defense on the perimeter, like what he's doing. Now he's doing a pretty good job. I think he's in a stance. I think you see his willingness, but it's a little bit more of an adjustment for him. Now for Naheem and Quincy, it's a vast difference of adjustment that they have to make. But the other guys, Caleb and Jalen and Cam and Matthew, those guys seem to, fit right into, the way we like to play. So I'm comfortable with them that I know what I'm going to get. They don't have as much adjustments to make because we've been fortunate enough. So I don't think I have a challenge trying to figure out the rotations because we're just going to go with what we feel like we need. I do feel that this team probably is closer in proximity to the talent level from a defensive standpoint than any team that we've had. Offensively, cake's still in the oven. We still got to move a little better. We got to cut a little better. Our execution is not where we think it should be to compete at the highest level. We pushing the ball and attacking in transition, but your half-court offensive schemes need to be a little more precise in terms of how we play to each other. Our theme has always been I create for you, you create for me, you know. And the three things we always ask them to do, we want them to defend, play unselfish, and play as hard as you can. And that's not always easy when you come from a system where you've been the key man. Now you got to be one of the men, and you got to play to each other's strength. You know, most of the time, people are playing to you and your strength because you're the best player on the team. So now you go from being a leading scorer and a go-to guy to a guy who has to learn another skill. How do I create for my teammate? You know, how do I make the game easier for my fellow teammates on my team? And that's a skill that's learned. You don't naturally know that, and you gotta make adjustments in your game. For instance, the other night we had 4 possessions where our freshmen came down just like we like for them to in an attack mode, but there were 4 guys, defensive players in the lane, and so pushing the ball, we had them where we want to. Now you push and then, but you don't. It's very unlikely that you can make a great play, but the fact that you're pushing it and pushing the tempo, you have them in the lane. So now you got to find other people or look for your trailer. And sometimes those, as aggressive as we play, you know, there can be some indecision on your part when you're playing, and you got to make decisions playing at the pace that we're playing at as early as we are in the season. So we're gonna have some growing pains. There's no question that we need to be a little more efficient early, but we don't have the luxury of doing that. Our schedule does not give us, you know, a whole lot of room for error right now. The Penn will be an extremely experienced, well-oiled machine that will be as efficient as most Ivy League teams are. And they're probably going to be one of the older, more mature teams that we'll face this year. And then needs to say, we can't even think about playing Sunday because we got to spend all our time worrying about Pennsylvania. But you know as well as I do that University of Florida is very much looking forward to us coming down there on Sunday. So we can't get past Pennsylvania, but we got some early games that that's going to test us. And that does give me a little concern right now because we have so many new guys we're trying to integrate in, and we got to play them in order for us to gain the confidence and us work things out.
Go next to Bob Ferrante.
Hey, good morning, Coach. I'm curious about Rayquan Evans, and when he kind of came to you and said he wanted to come back for a super senior year. Obviously, it makes you happy to have the experience. The guy can play defense and shoot well and lead you guys. But what did that mean as far as just how the team could take shape with his addition?
Well, let's put it. Let's set the record straight. I'm not sure. He might have thought that he was asking me to come back, but that wasn't really the case. We were trying to maneuver the situation where we create an atmosphere where he might have thought he was asking us, but actually we were very happy. Had he not, I'm glad he think it was his idea, okay? But had he not come back and asked us, I'm not real sure that he wouldn't have been recruited. So let's make sure we set the record straight. We're very happy and pleased that he's with us because he's such an unselfish spirit. And he's such a team guy that he's kind of accepted the role of a team guy. Now he's with 2 years of experience on his belt. He's much more confident. He's much more of a leader. He's speaking up. He's calling the huddles together himself. He's no longer listening to someone else's leadership. He's taking that role on, and he's doing a mighty fine job along along with Harrison and Justin and Malik and Polite. Those guys are really taking terms, speaking up and giving us good leadership. And I'm glad to see Evans, Rayquan, exerting himself more on the court, off the court, in practice, as well as what you've seen in games. And he's not a reluctant shooter. He's not a reluctant take charge guy. He's playing defense like he wants to be on the all defensive team. He's given us great leadership. And he's always been a good shooter, but he's been a pass first guy. Now I think he's allowing the game to come to him, and he's stepping into a different role that I'm very happy with.
Go to Austin from the War Chant.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to ask you about Cameron Fletcher. It looked like he had an impressive steal Friday night. And what can he be defensively? With it looks like he's got a really big frame and everything.
Cameron is still growing and learning. He's like a lot of confident, aggressive basketball players who, go out and produce stats. The adjustment he's making is just learning how to utilize his aggressiveness within a system that's new to it. He's still learning. He's still asking questions and adjusting to our system. And when you have a guy like Cam, you have to be cautious not to create a mindset with him where he becomes hesitant because he's thinking and trying to figure out exactly what he's supposed to do. So it's a balancing act where you're allowing him to be what has made him the talent that he is, while he's learning how to adjust to reading the floor and making decisions within the way we like to play. We have an organized system that we believe in that we think really fits him, but he's such a guy who's always in an attack mode, offensively and defensively, that sometimes if you're not correct, you can suppress that level of energy and confidence in trying to adjust to a new system. And we're trying to find that right balance where we continue to utilize his aggressiveness and his toughness and his ability to be active and get deflections, steals, and rebound, but also within the way we have to play as a unit so that we can, really be successful. And I think he's still learning and growing in those areas.
Max, did you have a question?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Is there any follow-ups we have from the group today?
Did I see Allison on the call?
I think we did wake Allison up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm awake. I've been here. I just don't have the camera on for obvious reasons. So we're good.
Oh. Well, I should have did the same thing. But I got up this morning. I want to know I did my hair, I did my nails, and see, you see my eyebrows been arched. I got my eyelashes on. Girl, I am ready.
And I'm not. So you're one step ahead of me, Coach.
Well, hey, you got to join the core there. You can't be like this. You got anything for us, Allison?
No, pretty much all my questions have been asked. I mean, the only thing that I was wondering is just what have you taken away? I mean, you play those exhibition games for a reason. I mean, to learn about this team, you got a lot of fresh faces. Is there anything specific that you took away, or is it just too early in the season to really
That's a good
evaluate?
question, Allison. This is the first time in a number of years, maybe in the last 10, 12 years, that I felt like maybe it might have been better for me to play a close scrimmage against maybe an equal opponent. There's, a lot of coaches like to do that. I've always felt that there's a part of development and maturing that is mental and emotional that you don't get when you have closed practices against other teams. I think it's important that these guys get out in front of the public when they get over the nervousness. I mean, as big and strong and athletic as some of our guys were in that first exhibition game, there were guys that were really nervous. They were really, really excited, and they got exhausted a little earlier. And sometimes you don't realize that's part of the adjustment that you make coming from high school or junior college to the level that we're at. So I've placed more value on that being part of the process as much as I do playing a closed scrimmage against a SEC team or a Big Ten team that probably would give you a little bit more of a challenge than maybe some of the exhibition games that we play. But I thought we might have needed that a little bit. So, with so many new guys I'm trying to work in there, but now, it's been something on my mind. Now, after we played both games, I do feel that we made the right decision by playing 2 open exhibition games, because I can see that as inexperienced as we are, it was important for them to get that feeling, so we won't be as anxious as we will be Wednesday night. They probably would have been, had we not gotten out in front. But you, as a reporter and as sometimes fans, you don't realize that that's part of the preparation process. And I think where we are, not having Malik and Tanoa the other night, showed us some of the potential weaknesses that we might have. I don't anticipate having Tanoa for this game on Wednesday. I could, but he hasn't practiced, in a while. And I think there's a possibility, not 100% sure, that Malik will be available. He rode the bicycle yesterday and did some non-contact shooting, and he was pretty extensive on the bicycle. I'm sure he's lost some conditioning, dealing with this influenza that's been passed around here in Tallahassee. So even though we have him, I'm not real sure he'll be at 100%. So now it puts the pressure on us to even have less experience on the court in some key positions. So maybe that's good for us this time of year, and maybe we'll get some experience that otherwise we wouldn't get, and maybe hopefully we can accelerate our maturing process.
Take another question from Jim Crosby.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to just ask you about Scotty Barnes. It looks like he's opening a few eyes in the pros. He's moved right in and playing well. Is this pretty much what you expected from him?
Well, I've been on the air several times with people in Toronto. I still think his best basketball is ahead of him. I think that we changed his mindset from being a power forward to putting the ball in his hands here. And I think that he's kind of, we expose who he really is and who he's going to become. And you also have to understand that, he's only with us for a few months playing on the perimeter. And now he's right in the NBA. So he's still learning and growing while he's having a certain level of success. I mean, I think his best basketball is ahead of him. I think that if he continues to keep growing and the way he is, there's no telling. I mean, he's shooting the ball well for the perimeter, and I think he could not have gone to a better situation from how they play. It's a perfect situation for him to go to Toronto, because they play kind of similar to the way we play. And I think the adjustment for him has been a little easier because of how he played, how we utilized him in the system. And they're encouraging him to be a little more aggressive offensively, and I think it's paying off not only for the Raptors, but for Scotty as well.
All right, any more questions from the local guys, girls?
No, Allison, she didn't show today. She cut us short. She ignored us.